Hi guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk about every single book I read in the year of 2025, the books that I loved, the books that I maybe didn't love so much, what I rated them, my thoughts and opinions, so let's get into it. But first, I want to say my goal this year, I think I said in last year's video I wanted to read 30 books. I actually meant 25 because that was the goal that I reached in 2024, but sadly I did not reach my goal this year, guys. I read 24 books instead of 25. I'm filming this on December 31st, so Stranger Things is coming out in like 2 hours, guys. I'm so excited, but I did not finish it. New Year's Eve is today. Right now I'm reading Crown Tide by Alex Astor, and I'm not even halfway through the book. I just did Vlogmas this year, so that's like really what ate up all of my time, just staying up at night editing when I could have been reading this book. But you know what? I did Vlogmas as a fun little experiment for me, just to like prove to myself that I could actually do it. So I'm proud of it, but I didn't get a chance to read my 25th book this year. That's okay. So I'm just gonna keep up with the same goal in 2026 of reading 25 books. Hopefully I can do it. I just know last year I only beat it because I read like 3 like tiny books that were only like 100, 200 pages. But guys, I read like beefy books this year, and like this would have totally put me over, and I had so much time. I had the opportunity to. I literally had all of December to read, but I was just filming constantly. So I will get this done, but I did not reach my goal, guys. It's okay. I only set that goal for myself just because I want to see if I can reach it. So honestly, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a number, but it's okay. Anyway, let's just get into the books. I'm gonna start off with the books that I read at the very beginning of the year, and then we can go down to the most recent books. So the very first book that I read in January was Onyx Storm, which is part of the Fourth Wing or Empyrean series. Guys, this book specifically was such a hassle to find. I didn't need to get the Target exclusive, but it has this, it has a little bookmark in here. It comes with art inside of it too, so this was honestly such a hassle to find, but it's mine. It's sitting on my bookshelf and I'm so happy. But I do have the Barnes & Noble edition, which is the one I was actually reading out of until I could find this beauty right here. Oh yeah, I actually went to the Onyx Storm release party at Barnes & Noble, and that's where I got the book. And I actually have a whole reading vlog of me reading Onyx Storm, so if you guys want to go see that, I'll leave the link up here. But yeah, I actually did not hate this book like a lot of people did. I think I rated this like a 4.5 stars or something like that, just because I honestly do love the characters and I love experiencing more of the world and just like finding out what's gonna happen with these characters and this romance and just like the plot and everything and just like the politics of it all. And in this one, I'm trying to honestly remember what happened in this. It was dragging along at times. Some people thought it felt rushed. I don't know if it felt rushed per se, but there was just a lot of information being thrown at us at the very beginning of the book, and I was like, hold up, I'm really lost right here. But the more I kept reading, I was like, it's coming back to me. It's coming back to me. And I love how when people read this book, there was just so many theories and things going on about what her powers could be, like what they would mean, what would happen in the next book, because like Xaden's like full-on venom now, and like that broke my heart. Oh my gosh, they got married and she doesn't even remember it. That is so crazy. Oh my gosh, yeah, see, it's all coming back to me now that I'm talking about the book. It's hidden me a little bit. But I honestly really like this book. Once again, I just followed the characters that I loved, so I was pretty happy with this one. I liked it. The next book I read is kind of what set off my Ali Hazelwood journey, and it is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. The sprayed edges on this, though, we have to talk about that. Like, these are gorgeous, and this like kind of 3D like droplet effect that's on the book, so pretty. Oh, I forgot about the art inside. That's a little crazy. I don't think I had read an Ali Hazelwood book before this. I think all I read was Bride, and I really did like that. But you know, Bride is kind of like an acquired taste. Not everybody could vibe with it. I vibed with it. I really liked that book. But this was like my first like contemporary normal romance set in like a normal world. This one was supposed to be kind of like steamy, experimental between the two characters, and honestly, reading it, I don't think it was. Yes, it was steamy, don't get me wrong, but I don't think there was anything like super freaky happening between these two, which I know was like a main selling point for a lot of people, and they were like, oh my gosh, like that's gonna be crazy. But like, it wasn't crazy, but like the romance was good though. I did actually thoroughly enjoy this. Oh yeah, they're both Stanford students, and they're both like in the aquatic realm, but also they're like into like biotech. You know how Miss Ali Hazelwood, she always has to sprinkle in some science in there. Yeah, okay, so our main character, girly Scarlett, she's a platform diver, and our main love interest is Lucas, and he's a swim captain, and he's already been to the Olympics, but like he's just going with the flow, doesn't know if he wants to go to the Olympics again. And then they end up like meeting each other, but like he's always kind of had eyes for her, but he was like dating her friend on the swim team, but then they broke up, and then there was like all this drama and turmoil, and it's kind of like, oh my gosh, can you guys get together without her like getting mad at you guys? And also, yeah, that part kind of like pissed me off a little bit, because I was like, girl, he doesn't want you. Not our main character Scarlett, but like her bestie. I was like, girl, he doesn't want you. So you can't be mad at your friend, especially you said, go for it, girl, go ahead, I'm giving you the okay. And then she gets kind of pissed at her. That part kind of made me mad. But I did actually really like this book. I thought the chemistry between the two characters was really nice. We got to see this like different environment. I hadn't really read a book that was like, I don't know, relating to like swim culture, I guess. It was supposed to be just temporary, mutually satisfying fling, but when staying away from Lucas becomes impossible, Scarlett realizes that her heart might be treading into dangerous water. And I know that Ellie Hazelwood also said that this book was supposed to be titled Wet, and then she was like, okay, I gotta change it. So then she titled it Deep End, which I'm like, that would have been really funny. But also, I don't know how I would have felt reading a book that was just titled Wet, so thank you, Ellie, thank you. But yeah, I did really like this. I think I gave it a 4 stars just because I was like, you know what, this was solid. So I did like this one. The next book I read was the second book in the Heartless Hunter duology, and that is Rebel Witch. Nobody talks about this book. I love this duology so much. When I say enemies to lovers, these two are enemies to lovers. The first book, they are literally trying to kill each other. In this second book, it's like, I'm sorry about the sirens, I don't really know what's going on. The forced proximity in this too. They had to stay on this boat for like the first half of the book, and they had to pretend to be like a married couple, and it was like so cute because I was like, you guys have to talk, you guys have to, because what happened in the first book, I won't spoil it, but it was just so good and like so angsty. It's kind of like Bridgerton, but like put witches into it. Our main character is a witch in like a world where she's not allowed to be a witch. They used to have like queen witches, but then the people in the town who were not witches and had no powers overthrew them, killed the witches, and then it was kind of like outlawed for any witches to exist. And obviously the witches were women, so they were trying to just hate men, right? Basically, our main characters, Rune and Gideon. Gideon is like the head captain of this like military that's trying to kill all of the witches, and then Rune is kind of like a thief in the night. She calls herself the Crimson Moth, and she goes in trying to like save any witches that are still on this island and try to get them out of there. But while all this is happening, Gideon is trying to catch the Crimson Moth, but he has no clue that Rune is the Crimson Moth. They're trying to like court each other, and they don't know what happens like at night. They're trying to like chase each other down in the woods, but when it comes to the daytime, they're like, shall I have this dance? Super cute and everything. And then he doesn't trust her because he thinks that she's a witch, all this kind of stuff. The books are so good, and I feel like nobody ever talks about them. In this book, it was pretty much just like whatever happened in the first book, the cliffhanger that was. This book just, I loved it so much, because in this book you already know that they like each other, and it's kind of like, now you know the truth behind both of you. So what's gonna happen? I gave Rebel Witch and Heartless Hunter both 5 out of 5 stars. I read Heartless Hunter last year, and this book finally came out this year, so I was so excited. But if you guys have not checked out or read either of these books, please go read them. You're gonna thank me later, I know you will, because everyone loves a nice enemies to lovers, and this book is, ooh, it's so good. And then we take a turn for the worst, guys, but also the best at the same exact time. I got Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, and this book destroyed me. I knew what was gonna happen in it. 5 out of 5 stars, by the way. 5 out of 5 stars. I knew what was gonna happen. It's about Haymitch's games and just like everything that went on in his Hunger Games and his Quarter Quell, and it's so sad. I was like bawling my eyes out by the end of it. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And oh, I actually made a whole video talking about this. It was all my thoughts. I was doing my makeup and I was just talking about everything because I needed to tell somebody because nobody would listen to me. So I made a whole video of me just yapping about Sunrise on the Reaping and like all its connections to the other books, what it means, and it's just so good. It's so magnificent. I love this book. I love Suzanne Collins, Hunger Games, love the whole thing. Modern day classics, as I've said time and time again. Absolutely love them. But this book, yeah, the ending was just heartbreaking, and I really just hate Snow. Like I really hate him, you know? But yeah, the movie comes out on my birthday next year, so I will be in the theater watching this, probably sobbing my eyes out, but I'm gonna have a great time because I love the Hunger Games. You know, it's kind of like a bittersweet relationship with the Hunger Games. You love it, but you're also like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. But you just like can't help it, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's just a lot of tie-ins with this book and so many themes and things mentioned, and you're like discovering new lore that you didn't know that was always there. It's just, it's so cool. I just want to give Haymitch like the biggest hug ever. Like, it doesn't, you know, validate his behavior since the Hunger Games and like everything that he's done and like how mean he is to people and like a drunk and all this kind of stuff, but like I understand you. I understand what led you to be like that. It was all out of fear and being scared for your loved ones, and just it's so good. 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 10. amazing. And the next book I read was the very last in a series. I love the Powerless series, but this is Fearless, the very last book of the trilogy. There's been 2 novellas, and we'll get to the other novella later. I got some thoughts about that one. But this book, Fearless, this is the Barnes & Noble edition. I'm not a fan of this read writing. I also have a reading vlog for this book as well if you guys want to go ahead and watch that too. All of my thoughts a little bit more in depth and in detail over there. But I did really like this book. I felt like I needed this book to give me the closure for my characters. I do think this book is so long and it's kind of unnecessary. It does not need to be this long. Let's get to the point. Let's wrap it up. You know what I mean? I did enjoy this book. I just really wanted to see my faves get together and just like have their ending that I've always wanted for them, just to see how that would even pan out for them, because she's literally betrothed to his brother and he's the king and everyone hates her. I really did just go into this for Peyton and Kai. Those 2 are my faves. I love them. Ever since the first book had me in a literal chokehold, I made a whole video talking about that one too. I just absolutely love their tension, their energy. They really love each other. And Kai, he's up there on my book boyfriend list. He's right up there. You know what I mean? I love him. So I was just really happy to finally finish off this series. A little bit sad when I was reading it because I was like, this is it, like it's over after this. But yeah, I did really like this book. I think I gave it 4 stars just because I was like, I have to. These are my characters. I love them. I don't really care about, like, okay, yes, I care about the plot, but it was kind of like going everywhere. And then at a time I was like, oh my gosh, incest, is that what's happening? No, but like kind of, like honestly there was so much going on. I was like, hold on, what's happening? Oh my gosh, and then they kissed. So I was having a fun time reading the series, and once I was in it I was locked in because I needed to know what happened, and I just love Kai and Peyton so much. The next book that I read is the book that took me like the longest to finish. I started this book in December of 2024 and I was like, I'm gonna read it before Sunrise on the Reaping. It just did not happen, and it's Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This book, I don't know why, maybe it's because I watched the movie first and I already knew everything that was going to happen in it, but I could just not get through this book for the life of me. Maybe it's just because Snow is so insufferable, but I just don't know why. I could just not get through this book. I would read like 2 chapters and then I put it down, and then I would like read another chapter and then I put it down. Like, I don't know why. So yeah, while I was reading those other books, I was like kind of reading this on the side, just like reading a little bit. I think I finished this book in like February or March or something like that. It was just kind of dragging along. As you can see, I tabbed a lot of things. There's a lot of ties to the rest of the series, just more lore overall and just everything really connecting. So I did really love it for that aspect. I just, as like an enjoyable read, well, it still was enjoyable. It would probably just boil down to that I knew everything that was going to happen in it. I did not hate this book. I just don't think it's my favorite out of the bunch because, once again, I don't want to live in the mind of President Snow, of Coriolanus Snow, for too long. There's just something about this man that's so like insidious and so like back and forth. It is kind of interesting to understand like where he's coming from with this, sort of, because he knows what right and wrong is, but yet he still does the wrong thing, or he does the right thing, but it's also just to help benefit him. So everything he does is literally just for the greater good of him. Like, he's only really loyal to himself, even though he's like, I'm loyal to the Capitol. It's pretty much just him being like, well, I'm loyal to the Capitol because it's gonna benefit me and my dad and my name, and you do know what I mean? There's just so many layers to him. This was a very interesting read. I did enjoy it. Maybe it dragged on a little bit for me. I think it was also just taking me way too long to finish this, so I was just like, I need to be done. Like, I need to be over with this. I literally already read Sunrise on the Reaping. I need to be finished with this. Unlock me from my cage. The next book I read after that was Silver Elite, and I don't know what was up with this book. It kind of just like exploded on TikTok like literally overnight, and then I found it in a Target and I was like, wait, that's that book that everyone's been reading. So then I was like, well, let me pick it up, because it's also like dystopian sci-fi, and if you know me, I love me a good dystopian sci-fi because I was raised on the ancient text of Divergent and the Hunger Games, and also the movies as well. Divergent, Hunger Games, Maze Runner, like those big three consumed me when I was younger. So anything that has to do with like a sci-fi, factions, worlds, displacement, political, young people having to be trained by like the military and be put through like the most traumatic things ever, I don't know why, that just like seemed interesting to me. I don't know, I just find dystopians fun and just kind of like, bad to say, but like comforting in a way, just because it reminds me of like reading books when I was in middle school and just like being obsessed like with Divergent, because Divergent was like my #1. Like, I loved Divergent. Maybe it's just because Theo James was on that screen. I don't know what it was. Also, when I read the books, I like really identified with Tris Pryor. I was like, wow, we are the same person. But Silver Elite wasn't bad. I think what sold me really was also because people were saying this is just like Divergent, but like for adults. Okay, sign me up. I could definitely see how people think that with like, we have like a trainer initiate type of like scenario and she's kind of like Divergent, she's different. They're like in their 20s or something like that, and there's kind of like a little plot twist between them. But our main character is definitely more spontaneous and brash and just kind of does whatever she wants, and she's just super bold, which is obviously very different than our little Miss Selfless Tris Pryor over here. This definitely gets into the whole Dauntless vibe, and I could really vibe with that because I was like, wait, I see what's happening. But this book definitely was pretty fun. I know there was also some like discourse about this because people thought it was like, I don't know if they were talking about this book or a different book, but they were like, authors are using AI to write books now, and maybe Silver Elite's written by AI. And I don't know if it was just me having a good time or not, but I didn't really see grammatical or like spelling errors. Honestly, I wasn't really looking for them until I finished the book and I saw that's what everybody was saying. I had a fun time. I like this book. I can't wait for the next one just because I do love me a dystopian, like I said. So I'm interested. I want to see what happens. I feel like this one's just a good solid book. I guess in the age of like romantasy, this is kind of like trying to follow along the lines of romantasy but make it more like dystopian. So it was an enjoyable read. Oh my gosh, my battery's dying. Give me a sec. Okay, we're back. The next book that I read is, guys, Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. This is where I kind of go deep into my Ali Hazelwood journey. This book was so good. I don't know what it had in it. Maybe just the great summer vibes because I was reading it during the summertime. This book was just that good. The tension, and it was like brother's best friend but also like older, because he was like, I don't even know, the age gap in here was kind of crazy though. She's 23 and he's 38. A 15-year age gap in here. When I read this though, I was like, wait. So theoretically, me being 24 now and Harry Styles being 31, like, so technically that could work out. Maybe, possibly. But it could be YN, you never know. Let me just pop a squat to Love on Tour 2.0 and let me just pull out my book, you know what I mean? Also, let's talk about that for like 2 seconds, okay? Forever, Harry posted on his YouTube page, didn't tell a single soul, just posted it. And now we're like, hey, what's happening? I think he might drop something. Maybe tonight, New Year's Day. I don't know, but I'm so ready for Harry to come back. Like, I'm so ready. My bank account is not, but I'm so ready. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Style is the answer to everything that I need in my soul. I need to hear it again. I need to hear da-na-na-na, da-da-na-na. You know what I mean? Anyway, back to this. There was just something in here. It was like, I just could not put this book down. I was just like flipping through it, reading it so fast. We were reading like past and present. There was like extra lore that we didn't know about. Me especially, extra lore that we didn't know about because I read this book next, okay? Didn't know that this book actually came out first and then this book, they were like kind of tied together. I think you can read them as standalones because I like low-key kind of did, but this book comes out first and then you read this one because it's kind of like the backstory of these two other characters in here. This is the brother and like his work environment, and then obviously his best friend who owns this company with him, this like scientific company. I low-key kind of forgot. Please don't hate on me. There was a lot of science, especially in this book. This one was more just like summer vibes, you know? The science in here though was a little much at times. I'm gonna get into this. I read this book next, so I'll talk about that. But I feel like I probably would have benefited from reading a little bit more of the lore in that book, but I still had such a fun time reading this. I think I gave it a 4.5 or just 4 stars. But you know what? This is like a 5-star read. So much fun, and then just getting stuck together in different scenarios and him being like, no, we can't date because I'm older than you. And she's like, no, I know what I want in life. And like, it's you. I was like, we can get past this. We can get past this. She knows what's up. She knows what she's signing up for. The brother, he doesn't know yet, but like, trust me, I'm sure he'll be okay with it. It's pretty much just Connor being like, I can't do this. And she's like, yes, you can. It's okay. Because the whole thing's just about like their age gap being the main thing that's making him not want to get together with her, just not letting it happen. And then there's like extra lore that happened when she broke up with her boyfriend and like stuff that happened when she was in college and her roommates and everything. And like, he was there for her. It was just so cute. And yeah, obviously there's more backstory in the first book, and then actually they meet the characters from Deep End. There's just like a little split second where they interact. It's kind of like Emily Henry when you see like a little Easter egg and you're like, oh my gosh, I see what's happening here. And then it kind of happened in here and I was so giddy. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I really love this book. 5 out of 5 stars. The tension, the pining, it was so good. I felt like they just had so many great moments in here that kind of just like forced them to talk about their feelings. And then Not in Love, which I read second. I should have read before, but Not in Love, this book definitely had a lot more science involved. I think I gave this book a 3.5 or 4 stars. I did not expect this book to be as steamy as it was. I don't know what I was expecting, but I was just not expecting it to go there. And that doesn't contribute to like, I guess like the lower-ish star rating, but I was just so like, whoa, that's what's happening here. I did see some people talk about like our main character, Rue, her just having a lack of personality. And I know that was kind of just like her and like her trauma from growing up. And I do understand that, but at times there wasn't a whole lot of attributes, I guess, or like personality for the reader to root for. I was mostly rooting for him. What's his name? Eli? Yeah, I was like, Eli, you go get your girl, because you know what? I know that you feel for her so strongly and so passionately. And the dynamics at play when he was kind of absorbing her company and like buying it out. And Rue's friend was like the CEO of the company, but then there's like some weird stuff happening with the CEO and like things not being said and like miscommunication and things like that. I did like this book. I just feel like reading this book first and this book being a 5 out of 5 stars and then reading this, I was kind of like, oh, it doesn't live up to this one because this one's so good. But I did really love these two. I don't think there's gonna be another one because like all of the love stories and like all the romances and couples have kind of already been like sorted out, but I really did like this. If it's like a little duology, I think this was very cute, but definitely out of the two, Problematic Summer Romance was probably my favorite just because it was so good. The next book I read was The Ground That Devours Us, and this book I haven't really seen many people talk about. One of my mutuals on TikTok actually got this book in PR, and that's how I first heard about it, and I was like, wait, that sounds so good, I need to go pick that up. It's basically a post-apocalyptic world where there's vampires and humans. I don't know how to explain this. It's kind of like zombies almost, but instead of people turning into zombies, they turn into vampires. And when like a vampire isn't strong enough to like kind of keep their humanity, they turn into a rabid vampire, which is like a zombie, just fully lost control of everything. They're gonna go after whatever moves, and humans kind of live in like little cities in like their own like guarded, gated communities. And then our main character is actually a twin, but her sister gets turned into a vampire by like the most evil, dangerous vampire, like the head of all the vampires. His name is X, by the way. Love him. And it's kind of like enemies to lovers in here. I just thought it was a really fun time. At first I couldn't really get behind kind of the like, it wasn't goofy writing, but this is definitely YA, and so there are like times where our main characters, you can kind of understand and like get a sense for how young they are because their language is kind of just like a little bit funny, a little bit snarky. But as I kept reading, I kind of understood it and I was there for it because it kind of reflects our characters and how young they truly are and how witty they are and just how they respond to things and how they think. So I just thought this book was very refreshing. It was very different than anything that I had read this year, so it was just really fun, and it was by an author I had never heard of before, Kala Harris. I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of hoping that there's another one. I feel like the ending could be left alone the way it is, but if there was a second book, I would definitely pick it up and I would definitely read it because I just want to know more of what happens to these characters in the storyline. I gave this book a 4.5 stars. If you guys haven't read it, please go check it out. I think it was just such a fun time. It was very unique. I really liked it. The next book I read is Big Barbara Steele by Sarah Adams. This is the third book in the One in Rome series, and the fourth book actually just came out. I just bought it a couple days ago, and the fourth book is called In Your Dreams. I just bought it yesterday. I'm so excited to read this. I just love the One in Rome series so much. It's just like a small town, like cozy romance. It's just so special to me, so I really love the series. And this is the third book, and this is about the second to oldest sibling. This is the sister, so she's the oldest of the girls. She's a teacher in this small town of Rome, Kentucky, and her arch nemesis, who she's been like beefing with since college, just decided to move away with his fiance, and she's like kind of heartbroken by it, just like a little bit, and she doesn't know why. She's just like, wait, he's my nemesis and now I don't have anyone to fight anymore. Like, what do I do? Why do I feel kind of sad? And so she kind of not pours this energy because of him, but just like everything that's happened in her life and all of her siblings kind of like finding their true love, and she's kind of just like left alone, doesn't know how to be there for her siblings anymore because she's always been the one that's like super level-headed and solve all of everyone's problems. She doesn't know what to do, so she decides to like channel all of this energy into writing her first romance book, and she accidentally sends her manuscript to her principal, to the principal of the school, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm literally gonna be fired. That's not gonna look good. So maybe her and her nemesis, who also just happened to move into the house right next door because he decided not to get married to his fiance, maybe they're just gonna have to find a way to get the manuscript back, and they might have to meet up and just like possibly fall in love. I don't know. I just love the When in Rome series. This book was just so cute. It was just a solid, good contemporary romance, and it just builds upon what we've already learned in all of the lore and the family dynamics from the first two books. So I really loved this one, and I'm so excited to read this one. This one's gonna be next after I finish Crown Tide. I'm reading this, and also, guys, if this means anything, my mom, who does not read, loves the When in Rome series, and this book, she's actually going to read it before me. It's the first time she's actually going to read a book before me, because normally I like recommend books to her, but she's like, I need to get on this, I need to read this ASAP. And her favorite book is the very first one, When in Rome. So if that means anything to anybody, maybe you guys should check out the When in Rome series, because it turned a non-reader into a reader. The next books that I read, I actually made a whole video about, and that is the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. These are just the first three because I read these books, and then I read another book, and then I went and read Powerless, which is the last one in the series. I do not have the first one here because I actually read Flawless, the very first book, in 2024, so I was just catching up on the rest of the series. I don't really know why I didn't just read them back to back, but I read them now. But I have a whole video where I talk about the Chestnut Spring series, my ranking of all the books, and just all my thoughts about it over there. So if you guys want to go check it out more in depth, that's over there. I want to say my favorite out of the bunch is Heartless. This is the next book that I read in the year. I don't like fish out the single dad trope. Like, it's not like my favorite, but I don't hate it, you know, it's just kind of there. But this one was so good. Just like the dynamics of her being like the nanny and just like staying in the house, and then the way they like have their small moments to like slowly falling in love, and then Willa's dynamic with Kate's son. It was just so cute, and I was just eating this up. It was so good. 5 stars. It made me just want to say a big yeehaw to Kate Eaton. Love him so much. And then we get over to Powerless, and I wanted to love this book. I really did. It just was not for me. I found it so boring and kind of like lackluster, and we're meeting these new characters that we've never met before, because I didn't read the series that came out before the Chestnut Spring, so I didn't have any extra lore knowledge. And we spent a lot of time with Violet, which is the Eaton sister, and she has like her whole series about how she found her mans and her friend group and all that, but we spent a lot of time in like her ranch and everything. I don't know them. These characters also, I feel like we didn't like dive into a lot in the other books, so I was just like, who are you people? I really don't know who you are. And I didn't feel attached to them. I just don't know why. There's just something about this book, I really did not like it. Sorry guys, sorry. I think I gave this like 3 stars. I mean, looking back, maybe demoting it to like 2. I don't know. And then we get to Reckless. This one I really did like, but I felt like we could have gotten together a lot sooner, because you guys literally have a kid together, and I just don't know why. I mean, I get it. Winter was kind of like cold-hearted, and she had a lot of like resentment and trauma and all this stuff, but I'm just like, you guys have a kid, and he's like so smitten with you. Like, it's not even funny. Like, he loves you. But I did think it was cute because he like moved in next door, and he's like, I do want to be involved in your life and my kid's life. But also, oh my gosh, the stupid ass intern who literally saw Winter's text that was like, hey, I'm pregnant with your kid, and he's like, okay, yeah, and then just ignores her. So Theo didn't even know he had a kid until they came back, and he's like, wait, the girl that I liked, Winter, she's like got a child? That's crazy. How old is this kid? Like, do you know what I mean? So irritating. But this book was, I think, solid. I think it was pretty good. And then I read Fearful by Lauren Roberts, and you guys know I love the Powerless series. This one I feel like was just kind of unnecessary. I feel like this was made for people who love Kit, so we can kind of like see his side and his POV of everything that was happening in Fearless. I think it was just kind of unnecessary. And then we get the girl, Mara or whatever, and she's like death itself, and she's like going between these 2 planes and bringing him down to like, it's not hell, like I guess it's just like the underworld where everyone's just living in their own state of trauma. It still kind of confuses me. I just feel like this maybe wasn't necessary. I don't know why. Like, I did give extra background though to the way Kit was acting in Fearless, but it still didn't make me like him anymore, because yes, he took the serum and it was like slowly killing him and everything, and that's why he was able to see Mara and all that stuff. But and then Mara like fell in love with him, and he was like kind of an asshole to her. Like, hey, maybe don't piss her off. We also got, what is it, Lenny, and I forgot her name. She had purple hair and Peyton hated her. We kind of get what was happening with them while Fearless was happening. It was just like the side characters. They got their own book. And you know what? It was okay. It was fine. I don't think it needed to exist, really. And every time my faves popped up in the page, I was like, wait, there they are. I guess it gave closure in a way, and like understanding where Kit is now. But I don't know if I fully understand it as well. This one's kind of an anomaly to me. It's kind of there. Don't know if we need it or not, but it is what it is. We're getting to my other stack now. My last stack, okay? Then we have Hopeless, kicking it back into Chestnut Springs. Once again, I think this book was just solid. I thought it was pretty good. I felt like these two, they already kind of had their eyes on each other, and once again there's a little bit of like an age gap romance. He has trauma from being part of like a special ops team, and he can't go back to work anymore because he got hurt on his last mission, so he's kind of done with it. So he's trying to find a purpose in life again, and he doesn't want to live on the farm. And then Bailey has all this trauma from living in this town. People just don't like her because of her brothers and her dad. They're kind of all just like assholes to her. And then Bo comes over here and he's like, what if you changed your last name and you weren't like part of your family anymore? And so they have this fake marriage. It's kind of just like them finding themselves and their purpose in life. So I did really enjoy this one for that aspect. And then we finally got Harvey's, like the ending of Harvey's story, because in the end of all the books we got like a little epilogue, and it was Harvey falling in love, and it was his own love story, and I thought it was so cute, and that was just like the cherry on top of the sundae for finishing off the series. And then the next book, we get into Nightshade by Autumn Woods, and this one was so good. Oh my gosh, I love this. 5 out of 5 stars. The one thing though I will say is that we kind of got like really hot and heavy really fast at the very end of the book, but it's okay, because like that cliffhanger though, I was like, hold up, stop the presses, what? I need to read the second book right now, and it's not out yet, so I'm just sitting here just like ruminating with my thoughts. But this one was so good. This girl goes to this academy that her parents used to work at, and it's like this prestigious academy with like a bunch of like rich people, but like shady people's kids. They're like in the mafia and like CEOs, and some of them are surgeons, and it's this whole thing, okay? But she's going there because she's trying to like investigate the murder of her parents. She's an orphan living all by herself, getting into this school on a scholarship. She doesn't have any friends, and so Ophelia's trying to stay away from this one guy named Alex, who's like #1 on her suspect list. His dad is like the CEO of this like airline company, but he's like low-key kind of shady, and they're like billionaires. But the one thing is that these two can't just get each other out of their minds. They keep seeing each other in like the university hallways, and it's low-key kind of like Hogwarts houses, or like factions if you will. And she's living in like the super dangerous one, and he's also there, and there's all this mystery and stuff happening. But the romance in here, I just ate it up. This book is so good. It just had a new vibe to it. It felt like it was supernatural fantasy type of vibe, but it wasn't. It was just like modern day. I think it's like in the Scottish Highlands at Sorrow Song University, and I just feel like there was some like supernatural element, but there wasn't. It just felt like dark academia, something's going wrong in this like gloomy Scottish town. It was so good. If you guys haven't read this book, I saw a little bit on TikTok, everybody was like hyping this up, but I don't think it like went super viral or anything. But this book, I ate it up so fast. I really loved it. It says mystery, murder, revenge, welcome to Sorrow Song University, and that's what it was, and it was a fun time. And the cliffhanger, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it because I knew it was gonna happen. I was like, no, they won't do that to us. They won't. They did. They really did. But yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. I loved this. The next book is Mate by Ali Hazelwood, and if you didn't like Bride, then you probably wouldn't like this. I personally thought that Bride might have been just a little bit better, but this one was just as fun and just as like supernatural, whimsical. It had its own vibe, and this one also had like a werewolf cult, which is like so random, but I was like, wait, kind of interesting, like where did that come from? This one's about Misery's best friend, who was captured in the very last book in Bride, and she's like an orphan. She doesn't have any family, and she's half werewolf, and so she's like trying to figure out where she belongs in the world, and she doesn't know if she's like more human or more werewolf. Obviously in this book she finds out about her werewolf side and what that means, and then also she's kind of like, I don't know, fated mates with like a werewolf alpha named Cohen, and she's like, wait, he kind of hates me, he's like really grumpy and really mean, and then he's like, we can't be together, there's like something going on with the pack. But she's like, wait, we're like supposed to be together, and he doesn't like me like that, there must be something wrong with me. There's all this stuff going on, just a lot of drama. I was reading it during October, and I was enjoying it. I was giddy, I was having fun. I liked this. And this one also has the art in it too. I think this is a Target one. I know that each place had like their own, like Barnes & Noble had their own, Walmart did, but honestly I think this is the best art to me. This one just like looks so nice and like what I would actually envision as the characters. This book was just a fun time. I know that Bride and Mate are not for everybody, but like if you get it, you get it, you know what I mean? Next book I read was Spell Strings and Forgotten Things, and I haven't really heard anyone talk about this book either. I remember I bought it back in like the summertime at Target, and I have never seen it there ever again. I don't know if they put it out when they weren't supposed to. Maybe it was supposed to be like a fall release, but I have never seen this book again on shelves, and it was honestly really fun. It was like very practical magic vibes for me. I love practical magic. I think I've talked about this before in another video when I was talking about like my fall TBR, and this one was on it. It was just a great book about like sisterhood and the magic and the bond between these three sisters. They're trying to like hold back this ancient curse that like generations of women in their family have like kept up, and then something goes wrong when there's this like dark witch coven that's like entered into town, and they're trying to like break this curse, but then something happens, and then there's like a little enemies to lovers thing happening. But the one thing I found super interesting about this story is the way that they use their magic. These three women are cursed, and in order to use their magic, whether it's like a big or small spell, they have to give up a memory in order to use it. So like if it's a small spell, it's like a smaller memory, but if you want to like cast something huge to like fight all of these monsters that they're gonna face here, it has to be a huge sentimental important memory like in their lives. So that's a really fun, interesting twist of what they have to go through. This book was honestly just really fun and like very refreshing, very different. It was also really cozy too, because these three sisters also own a bakery slash bookstore in this like small town in like Northern California, and it was just so fun. Practical magic vibes. And also something happens in the very end of this, which I was like, are we not gonna fix that? Like, I need a second book so I can like dive into that again and be like, because you're kidding me. I had a feeling it was gonna happen, but then it did, and I was like, wait, no, how are we gonna reverse this? But yeah, this book was just a fun time. I really liked it. The next book I have is The Obsession, and this book had been sitting on my shelf for literally ever, and I finally picked it up. This is like a YA stalker book at this kind of like high school, university, boarding school type of thing, and this boy is like obsessed with this girl because it looks like some other girl he was obsessed with, and she passed away and died of like a drug overdose or something like that, and he's obsessed with this new girl because she like literally looks like a doppelganger of the past chick. And it just gets weird. It's like Joe Goldberg if he was like a teenager, and like what he did when he was a teenager, possibly. And I did like this book, but I felt like I was reading it and then I was kind of like falling asleep at times, and then something would happen and I'm like, whoa, I'm locked in again. Like, this is really good. And then I'd keep reading and I was like, it's kind of dragging, and then something crazy would happen. It was kind of like an off and on thing that I was interested in. The ending, I wish we had an epilogue. Like, I was searching for it. I was like, no, it has to be in here. There's no epilogue. I think there is a second book in the series though, and I think it takes place at the school, but not with the same characters, like at all. It's just like a new story. So I'm just not getting any closure here, and I really needed that to just fully like lock in and feel like this was a full circle moment. I ended the book and I didn't get that, and I was just really sad about that. Kind of butthurt that still wasn't in here. I think I gave this book a 3 stars just because I felt like it was so unfinished in a way. It kind of just like ends abruptly and that's it, and I'm like, you're lying, you're lying. So yeah, I thought it was a fun book, but some parts of it really did piss me off. Next, I got into the Maxton Hall series. I read Save Me, Save You, and then Save Us, just because Maxton Hall season 2 was coming out and I was like, I need to read these books, and they finally got translated into English this year, so I was so excited to finally read them. The first one is probably my favorite because I feel like it aligned with the show really well, and they decided to embellish certain things in the show, but I feel like it was a very tasteful way, and the book kind of just like added a little bit more to it. It was a really good experience having known and then also watched the very first season. The second book, I feel like they strayed kind of far from what happened in the show, and as I was watching the show, I was also reading this, so I was kind of like having 2 things happen at once like each week, and I was also reading it, and the events weren't perfectly lining up, so I was kind of like, hold on. And they kind of mixed some things up in the ending of the show with the book, and they like kind of jumped into the last book a little bit early, and I was just like, how are we doing all this? It was kind of like mind-boggling. Maybe I shouldn't have watched the show and read this at the same time, but it was just a lot going on. I liked it. It was patching up what happened to the relationship in here. There were at times I was like, Kate James, are we gonna battle your dad now? Like, let's get into it. And then the third one, I was like, okay, are we gonna slap your dad? Are we gonna have somebody, your dad? Like, I need something to happen. And then something happened, something did, and I was like, okay, cool. But I was kind of hoping for, I mean, I guess that was the best. I don't know. This one probably wasn't my favorite out of the series. I'm glad everything panned out the way it did. I still have a couple questions, and I'm curious to see how they're gonna play it out in the show, since they kind of like mix things up with the second book and maybe lead our characters in a different direction, which I'm low-key kind of hoping for just a little bit. But overall, I was satisfied with the series. This one was definitely my favorite though out of all of them. The first book, also the first season of the show, my favorite. So yeah, if you guys want to read these and maybe keep up with what's going on, it's going to happen in the very last season of the series, I definitely recommend. I think it was a fun time. It was a very easy read. A little bit of lulls maybe happening in the last book, and some things I was like, what's happening in the second book? But overall, not bad. I did enjoy these. And then the very last book I read is the Grimm and Oro book from Alex Astor. It's the Dueling Crowns book. And can we just talk about how beautiful this is? This is the only like copy it comes in, and is this like beautiful box. I love this so much. This comes out and we get this beautiful art. I love this. That's my man, by the way, if you didn't already know. This is my man. And there's art for both of them, which is crazy. Grimm's side and Oro's side, like that's just so cool. It looks so good. So you read one side, and when you get to the ending of that story, you flip it over and you keep reading, and it's like 2 stories in one, which I think was really cool. It definitely added to a lot of lore in what was happening, and like these guys having like a friendship with each other before Isla came along, and like what their story really was. I did kind of give my thoughts about this in week 3 of Vlogmas, because I finished it during Vlogmas. So yeah, if you guys want to go watch that too, I have like a little bit in detail of my thoughts over there as well. But this one wasn't bad. I actually did like it. Once again, I feel like I say this every time I mention anything that has to do with Lightlark or Alex Astor. These books are not my favorite by any means. I kind of just like started reading them, and now I'm like locked in. I need to know what happens. I need to know which guy she kills, and I know that's gonna happen in Crown Tide. And I'm so excited because I'm like almost halfway through the book. I really gotta know what happens. My favorite is Grimm, okay? I love Oro, got a soft spot for him. Grimm is my man. That's also her man, because that's actually her husband, mind you. Don't even know why she still has to choose, but hey, and their lives are literally tied together. So if she kills him, she kills herself. If he dies, then she dies. Like, it's a whole thing, you know what I mean? These books I just read for a good time. I'm kind of just here with the punches, whatever's happening. I remember last year I was critical and like cutting it down, and honestly I think I've just gotten to a point now where I'm just like, it's fun. I'm just here for the ride, and I just need to know what happens. It's out of necessity now. I need to know how it ends. But yeah, both these stories were good, Grimm and Oro's. Oro's, we found a lot more about his like family dynamics and everything that happened to him before. But if we're gonna have a battle of the traumas, I definitely feel like Grimm in his childhood way worse than Oro's. Not to like pin them against each other, but that's the whole series, pinning them against each other. We also get to see them become friends a little bit. I feel like Oro's is more about their friendship with each other and like what that kind of entailed before the Centennial and even Isla came onto the scene, and we get a little bit of Oro's POV of him first seeing Isla, Centennial, all that kind of stuff. But Grimm's is really just 2 chapters of his childhood, like his horrific childhood, and then after that we kind of just get Grimm's POV of Nightbane, like all of his instances and all of his interactions, meeting Isla for the first time, and just like everything all the way up to the Centennial. But honestly, I kind of enjoyed it. I wanted to know his thought process and like what was going on, because he was supposed to be like super dark and mysterious. So it was kind of cool seeing him like his regression from like a hardened heart to like kind of being a big softie, but only for Isla. But yeah, these were both good. I think I gave it a 4 stars. It was just fun little addition to the story. But yeah, I'm reading Crown Tide right now. I'm only on page 120, but that's pretty much it, guys. Those are all the books that I read in the year of 2025. I may not have reached my goal, but I still read a lot of books, and I'm proud of myself. And you know what? A lot of people don't actually read anything at all, and they haven't read a book since they were like in middle school. So if you read 5 books this year, 2 books, 1 book, 50 books, 100 books, you know what? I'm proud of you guys. But yeah, those are all the books I read in the year of 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have read any of these books, please let me know. I want to know your guys' thoughts, and if you guys love them or not. If you guys have any recommendations for me, please leave them below. I'm all up for recommendations. I love getting new books recommended to me. I think that's it. I have to clean up this mess, and Stranger Things just came out, so I'm gonna go watch it with my family. Be very sad that it's over, but also super excited, but also sad again, and super nostalgic, because if anyone knows anything about me, nostalgic to my core. Nostalgia will be the death of me. So I'm gonna go watch that now and probably cry my eyes out. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye!